Hello, strength and hypertrophy enthusiasts. Today I'm here on the behalf of the mighty cardio gods to preach some cardio to you. Because if your current program does not include any cardio whatsoever, unfortunately, my friend, your program is lacking and I'm here to fix that. I will not try to convince you to do cardio by giving you a list of health benefits because we both know that you already know them. We all know that doing cardio is healthy. We all know that it's important to do cardio, especially as you grow older. But knowing all that, you still choose not to do it. So instead, I will try to appeal to you by pressuring your weak points. And I know your weak points because, as strength and hypertrophy enthusiast myself, I have the same points too. So if you want to get as big as possible and as strong as possible, you must incorporate some cardio because it will allow for better recovery between sets and better recovery between sessions. And it will get more and more important the more advanced you get because you will be required to do much more high intensity sets and much more volume in order to keep making progress. So you will have to do at least one cardio day a week or even better two. Any cardio activity is fine and we'll cover for that. But in this video, I want to specifically talk about running because our bodies are designed in a way that is either use it or lose it. If you're now in your teens or your 20s, you might not feel it, but as you grow older, you will come to realize that this is indeed the case. And I don't want you to wake up in your 40s or 50s and suddenly realize, oh shit, I cannot run, because at that point it will be much harder or even impossible to regain some of the abilities because you've gotten all stiffened up over the years. We must maintain the abilities now if we want to keep them later. We all want to age as gracefully as possible, to stay as big, as strong, and as agile as possible for as long as possible. And I think for us men, the North Star looks something like Zeus, right? We all want to have white beard, white hair, look freakish and muscly. But when you imagine that guy, you don't think about someone who cannot run. So I hope that was enough to convince you to start running. And now let's get into how to get into running. So before we go any further, I have to mention that I'm not a running coach. I have some experience with athletics when I was in my teenage years, but I'm simply going to share what worked for me and how I got into running after years of not running. So I will speak as if I am coaching my younger self, right? So my first recommendation is going to be run on soft surfaces, preferably deep sand or high grass. Okay, it's very important, especially if you've gained weight since you last ran. If you gained weight and you would start running right away on concrete, you will gain injuries faster than you can imagine. Okay, you will gather shin splints, knee pain, feet pain, all that shit. At the beginning, we want to start very easy and then overload from there. It's the same concept that you know from lifting weights, but here it's applied to running. We will start from soft surfaces, we will minimize impact, okay? At the same time, we will strengthen all the surrounding musculature that works even harder on soft surfaces to stabilize the feet and the knees and everything. So we are hitting two birds with one stone here. So your first run is going to be on 500 meters. Now, if the run was comfortable, it wasn't too hard, and you feel recovered the week after, you are going to increase the distance by 500 meters. So you will run 1K. If the 1K run was comfortable, the week after, you will increase additional 500 meters and run 1.5K. We are going to keep increasing the distance by 500 meters until we get to 5K. But before you're going to get to the 5K, it's very likely that you will encounter a distance in which the run wasn't very easy. It's going to be uncomfortable. At that point, I want you to keep repeating the run until it gets comfortable and only then move to the next level. It's perfectly fine if you have to repeat the same distance for a couple of times. Now, when you're at the point where you can run 5K comfortably at zone 2 pace, you are in a good shape to start incorporating higher intensity sessions. In these sessions, we will introduce intervals. What are intervals? These are runs in which you are going to alternate between higher intensity periods and recovery periods, okay? So X meters higher speed, Y meters to recover at lower speed. The distance that you are going to run in the higher intensity part is going to be anywhere between 150 meters to 300. And the way that you are going to run it is by gradually accelerating into the top speed and then keeping it constant until the end of the higher intensity period. The top speed should be somewhat higher than the zone 2 speed, but it should be nowhere near a sprint, okay? And it's very important that you will gradually increase the speed because you're not yet adjusted to explode from 0 to 100. But don't worry, we will get to that later. So in the first session, you are going to do 2 such intervals. The next session, the next interval session, if the previous one went well, so you felt good, you feel recovered, you are going to do 3, and then 4, and then 5. Again, similarly to what I mentioned when we built up to 5K, if any session was challenging, you are going to repeat it until it's not as challenging. So now, if you're at the point where you can do 5 relatively easy intervals, we are going to up the intensity. So in the next interval session, you are going to do only 2 intervals, but the top speed is going to be much higher and closer to a sprint. Not exactly a sprint, but it should be challenging. The next week is going to be 3 such intervals. The next week, if all goes well, 4, and then 5. When you get to the point where you can run 5 such hard intervals, it's going to be hard workouts. You are going to be exhausted, resisting the urge to lie on the floor, okay? It's not easy. But when you can do it comfortably, I'm not saying that you're not going to be exhausted. You are going to be, but you can recover well. We are in a good shape to start introducing sprints in the next interval session. So in the next one, we are only going to do 2 intervals. In these intervals, the distance that you are going to run in the higher intensity period is going to be anywhere between 100 and 200 meters, okay? But this time, we are not to gradually increase the speed. No, you are going to sprint from the get-go. So, sprint as hard as you can, recover 2.5 minutes, jog or even walk if you have to, okay? And then do another. This is going to conclude our first sprint session. The next one, if all goes well, we're going to climb to 3, 4, and then 5. Once you've gotten to 5 sprint intervals, congratulations, you have finished my running introduction course. You can now run 5K comfortably at zone 2 pace, and you can run interval sprints. From this point on the zone 2 day, I want you to increase the distance up to 10K, not more, and always try to keep the zone 2 speed. The speed will naturally climb up because it will get easier and easier, but you just focus on keeping it zone 2. On the higher intensity day, play around, do intervals at different distances, sprints, uphill sprints, whatever you like. Now, it's important to note that in this video, I have not taught you in any shape or form how to prepare for a competition, to peak in running, or any of that sort. This was basically how I got into running shape for both long, medium, and short distances, okay? If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. I hope this video helped one of you guys, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.